Hey everybody, good morning to you. Sunnyvale Rejects back in the house on a beautiful Saturday morning. Friday was Good Friday. It's Easter weekend. Whether you believe in God or not, be very, very grateful just to be on this planet, to be alive, to be conscious of it all, and enjoy your time. Enjoy every second because it's fleeting. It's fleeting. Time is the most precious commodity. Okay, let me shut the hell up. Today we're going to do an author spotlight on James Lee Burke, the best crime and mystery writer you've never heard of. And if you have heard of him, consider yourself the few, the proud, the fortunate. This is just water, y'all. Wow, it's good to be back. I miss hanging out with you and talking to you all. I really do. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And I'm so grateful that you hang out with me. I'm serious. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I had to take some notes on James Lee Burke because I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I'm the sage on the stage. I really heard about James Lee Burke through Christopher Rice, who's Anne Rice's son, and he was telling me that I think a professor of his tried to convince him that James Lee Burke was not literature, that it wasn't literary, but it is. If you watch interviews by him, he is very soft-spoken, very literate. I mean, he read all kinds of classics growing up. I think his father wanted to be a historian, so he had a lot of fascinating conversations. He read Faulkner, he read Hemingway, and the cool thing is he never really read the crime or mystery genre before attempting to write it. He was actually fishing with a friend on the Bitterroot River. I believe that's in Montana. And his friend said, look, you've written all kinds of other novels. Why not try crime or mystery? They pay advances. So long story short, he got back home. He wrote I think 2 chapters of a crime novel, and his agent got 3 offers on it, and the rest is history. And that began with a character that's involved in the books we're going to look at today called Dave Robichaux. Now, the Robichaux series, if I'm not mistaken, concerns about 24 books, right? Starting in 1987 with Neon Rain and ending in 2024 with Cleat. Now, you've heard of Agatha Christie, you've heard of Ross MacDonald, you've heard of Raymond Chandler, but I've got to tell you, if you have not read James Lee Burke, you've simply got to. His character, Dave Robichaux, is tortured, to say the least. In the true Elizabethan, great dramatic plays, and the Greek of this tragic protagonist, like in the Promethean sense. And he's addicted to narcotics. He's addicted to alcohol. He's got demons in the closet and a tendency towards violence. So does, I think, Billy Bob Holland, his other protagonist in another series. But you cannot help but take a vested interest in how things turn out for this character because he only, let's say, commits violence acts in defense of another. In defense of another. It's incredible. I'm talking about incredible, fantastic character development. And the introduction, I mean, right off the bat, he introduces these characters, all of them, protagonists, antagonists, in a way that really just grabs you by the shirt collar and pulls you into the story. The characters, like most criminals, they're just kind of people that rob and they're dumb and they mess things up and they break into jail. But other criminals are evil, and people in prison don't even want to be associated with these folks. They're evil, and that's how evil some of the antagonists in James Lee Burke's books are. But let me read this a little bit because I don't want to mess this up, but I think this is just fascinating historical info on James Lee Burke. He's 88 now. He was born in Houston, Texas in 1936, and he lived in New Iberia for quite a while. He and his wife owned a house there. But he's been hanging out in Montana since about 1966, and eventually it became their primary residence, there in Missoula, I believe. But check this out. Burke is a New York Times best-selling author, 3-time winner of the Edgar Award. That's like the Oscars. As well as a Gold Dagger and the Grand Prix de Literature Policière. And the recipient of the Guggenheim Fellowship for Creative Arts in Fiction. And his book, The Lost Get Back Boogie, was nominated for a Pulitzer. And I thought this was a fascinating quote, too. That it has been said that to read a Burke novel is to enter a timeless parallel universe of violent emotions and lush brooding landscapes where class and racial distinctions and family histories mold society. Critics call him America's best novelist, the Graham Greene of the Bayou, and the poet of the mystery novel. Did I miss anything? Hell no. Let me show you some books. Now, like I said, there's 24 Dave Robichaux books. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Got a long ways to go. And I got a couple that are signed. I cannot wait to show you. So here we go. We're going to start with James Lee Burke's Burning Angel. Look at the beauty. Look at the beauty. Remember what I'm always telling you guys about standing out. How the hell is anybody ever going to read your book if they don't pick it up? You might not want to think like that as an author. You know, the construction and the marketing of your book, but you simply must. They'll never hear your fascinating story if they don't pick it up. You know, look at my guy back here. Oh boy. Look at him. Damn. Handsome fella. This is James Lee Burke's Burning Angel. At the center of Burning Angel is Sonny Boy Marcellus, a fixer, gambler, a lender of money to prostitutes who are trying to leave the life. But since Prohibition, the Giacano family has locked up the action in New Orleans and its surrounding parishes. When things get hot for Sonny Boy, he hightails it south of the border for parts unknown in El Salvador and Guatemala. It's Burning Angel. Get you some. Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? Look, I think this book is signed. It surely is. Check it out. Burning Angel. Nifty, eh? And let's just make sure. You want to make sure it's a first edition. Lovely if it's a first print. And it is. Fine, welcome edition to my collection. Sunset Limited. The Bayou. If you want to go to Bayou country in Louisiana, fly into Baton Rouge and check that city out, and then drive west. Lafayette. Lake Charles is cool. But around Lafayette, that's really Bayou country. Check it out. Again, with the nice spine. It's all embossed. That damn ring light. It's as low as it can go, y'all. My guy. Look, at least he's dressed differently. He's not like John Solomon's got the same jacket on. Though, all of that is John Saul, and we love us some John Saul. But change your damn shirt. This guy, he looks good. He's got his cowboy hat on. This is Sunset Limited. Detective Dave Robichaux returns to center stage in an incendiary new novel by James Lee Burke. A gripping tale of racial violence, class warfare, and the sometimes cruel legacy of Southern history. Sunset Limited is a stunning achievement, confirming Burke's place as one of America's premier stylists. Not since Raymond Chandler has anyone so thoroughly reinvented the crime and mystery genre. Ain't that crazy that they're saying he reinvented it, and they're comparing this guy to Raymond Chandler, and he never read crime or mystery before writing this. Just try it. People say write what you know. I say write what you want. And if you don't know shit about it, study it. Crusader's Cross. Crusader's Cross. A lot of cemeteries, especially in New Orleans, are above ground because of how New Orleans is situated compared to sea level. And I remember Charlie Rose asking Anne Rice, he thought it was strange that they walked through cemeteries, but they're quite beautiful. They used to be anyway. I don't think you can walk through them anymore. But that's the picture there. This is James Lee Burke's Crusader's Cross. Look, I'm telling you, he knows what's up. Different pose, different clothes on the back of every book. Crusader's Cross. Her name may or may not have been Ida Durbin. It was back in the innocent days of the 1950s when Robichaux and his brother Jimmy met her on a Galveston beach. She was pretty, and Jimmy fell hard for her, not knowing she was a prostitute on infamous Post Office Street with ties to the mob. Then Ida was abducted and never seen again. And guess who gets put on the case? Your boy Dave Robichaux. And he's about to F somebody's life up. Dave Robichaux, my man. All right, now we got Pegasus Descending. Nice books, right? They look good. Come on now. Big ass bold font. They look good. I remember I used to be a snob when it comes to reading. I really did, but I thought that was the way it goes. You know, you start with the classics and kind of read up, but I got stuck in the classics. But I remember when I started to shop for books for real, and I would go to bookstores and look at the spines, I noticed that the books I picked up that were contemporary mimicked the classic style. Like, what is it? Damn, man, I can't think of any of their names right now. But the classic books like Vintage, for example, that's like this. Where's Faulkner? Let's get a Faulkner book. Vintage, for example. Now that spine stands out. I noticed other people doing it, and I would pick it up, thinking it was a vintage paperback by Faulkner. They got me. I fell for it. So this is Pegasus Descending. Look again. My man. All right. Detective Dave Robichaux is facing the most painful and dangerous case of his career. A troubled young woman breezes into his hometown of New Iberia. New Iberia, check it out, y'all. Louisiana. She happens to be the daughter of Robichaux's one-time best friend, a friend he witnessed gunned down in a bank robbery, a tragedy that forever changed Robichaux's life. I just thought of something that I do, and I want to give you a little heads up, a little pointer that I give my students in the classroom. Think about trying to get a promotion at work or something like that, or performing a reading of your own work, perhaps in front of an audience. You got to do something that's called reading ahead. You got to learn how to do that. You got to study the material. It doesn't take long, but if it's your own work, you probably know it. But you know, you cannot be looking down and going, Detective Dave Robichaux is facing the most painful and dangerous case of his career. You got to read ahead a little bit and be able to do this. Dave Robichaux is facing the most painful and dangerous case of his entire life. A troubled young woman believes, you know, like that. You gotta, breezes. You gotta talk like that, though. I may have slaughtered that, but you get my point. Read ahead, engage the audience, look them in the eyes. And if you can't look them in the eyes, look over their heads. They don't know. And don't act nervous. Nobody knows you're nervous but you. All right, back to the book, damn it. In Pegasus Descending, James Lee Burke again explores psyches as much as evidence and tries to make sense of human behavior as well as his characters' crimes. Richly atmospheric, frightening in its sudden violence, and there's some supernatural elements too. And replete with the sort of puzzles only the best crime fiction creates. Okay, I just screwed up there, and I was telling you to read ahead. I should have studied it, but I didn't. Burke's latest novel is an unforgettable roller coaster of passion, surprise, and regret. Atmospheric, violent. You'll hear those words repeated when it comes to talking about Burke's work. All right. We're on to Swan Peak. Swan Peak. I like these color combinations. See the gold and red and the gold and blue. How cool it would be to be a book cover designer for a major publisher, you know, books that might win the damn Pulitzer. Or an independent publisher if they put out a lot of books that, because you want people to see your work. You want to be on the main stage. One take, y'all. That's all this video is going to get. I screw up here just like I do in every facet of my life. I could have a great day, for example, and then 7th period, something will happen, I'll ruin it, I'll say something stupid, I'll get off script, but I do that as a human, and why be any different here with my friends from YouTube, you know? Trouble follows Dave Robichaux. James Lee Burke's new novel, Swan Peak, finds Detective Robichaux far from his new Iberia home. Attempting to relax in the untouched wilderness of rural Montana, he, his wife, and his buddy Cleet Purcell have returned to stay at an old friend's ranch, hoping to spend their days fishing, enjoying their distance from the harsh, gritty landscape of Louisiana's post-Katrina, which was crazy. Katrina was crazy. Mississippi was utterly destroyed, but it didn't get a lot of publicity because of what happened in New Orleans. But check out New Orleans during Katrina. I mean, it's modern-day catastrophe. Modern-day catastrophe. But the city recovered because those people are resilient. All right, that's Swan Peak, and I'm shutting up, damn it. This is James Lee Burke's Glass Rainbow. James Lee Burke's Glass Rainbow. You got the bayou. You got the cypress trees. Oh, it's a beautiful scene with the Spanish moss hanging. It's beautiful. Conducive to writing. And not just regional Southern fiction, but all types of literary endeavors, because for something to be great, it has to transcend genre, and it has to be about more than just one thing. Like a crime novel can't just be a crime novel, you know. It has to have other things going for it and be more universal. All right, The Glass Rainbow, what is it about? James Lee Burke's eagerly awaited new novel finds Detective Dave Robichaux back in New Orleans and embroiled in the most harrowing and dangerous case of his career. So apparently the last one was not the most dangerous. See, kids, things can always be worse. All right, a case of his career. 7 young women in neighboring Jefferson Davis Parish have been brutally murdered. While the crimes have all the telltale signs of a serial killer, the death of Bernadette Latioles, a high school honor student, doesn't fit. She is not the kind of hapless and marginalized victim psychopaths usually prey upon. Robichaux and his best friend Cleet confront Herman Stanga, a notorious pimp and crack dealer who both men despise. Now, this is not going to go well, but it's, New Iberia is probably the smallest town you've ever heard of, and they have all the problems of a big city. When Stanga turns up dead shortly after a fierce beating by Purcell in front of numerous witnesses, the case takes a nasty turn, and Cleet's career and life are hanging by threads over the abyss. Took a minute to get there, but that was pretty cool. It's The Glass Rainbow. Oh boy, hang on now. This is a first edition, first print. I know. I remember getting this one. And, come on, don't let me be wrong. Dang it. You know what? I was wrong. I think I have another signed book here, and I think it may have been, let me just go back just for a second, you guys. I think it may have been, we knew that Burning Angel was signed. Yes, and Sunset Limited. The Sunset Limited is signed too. Let me just get back to past the masthead page there. Pretty nice. Can you hear the crows outside beckoning for me to come feed them their seeds? Hell, they'll eat anything really, except apples. Except apples. We're on the last book, y'all. You can go about your day, but come back, hang out some more. Don't give up on me. I'll never give up on you. It's Robichaux. It's the man himself. Dave Robichaux. Oh, this is interesting. A gorgeous prose stylist, says Stephen King. Michael Connelly, who you're probably familiar with. James Lee Burke is the heavyweight champ, a great American novelist whose works, take individual or as whole, is unsurpassed. I read that wrong. Entertainment Weekly. Burke's evocative prose remains a thing of reliable, fierce wonder. All right, maybe it's too early for me. I don't know. Dave Robichaux is a haunted man. Between his recurrent nightmares about Vietnam, his battle with alcoholism, and the sudden loss of his beloved wife, Molly, his thoughts drift from one irreconcilable memory to the next. Images of ghosts at Spanish Lake live on the edge of his vision. During a murder investigation, Dave Robichaux discovers he may have committed the homicide. The one that he's investigating, kind of like Scanner Darkly by Philip K. Dick. Is that dude? I don't think committed a murder. I don't know. One which involved the death of the man who took the life of Dave's wife. As he works to clear his name and make sense of the murder, Robichaux encounters a cast of characters and a resurgence of dark social forces that threaten to destroy all of those whom he loves. It's Robichaux. Give it a shot. Give James Lee Burke a shot. And if he's got other series by other, hard-boiled detective types, and if you like this one, you'll definitely like the others. Atmospheric, brooding, menacing, violent, beautiful. Did I say beautiful? I'm shutting up. Please have a wonderful day. Stay cool. Read more books. Write your own. Hell, write a screenplay. Dream big and take chances. Let me see if my clicker works. If it doesn't, I'm going to reach up and turn it off. Nope, it doesn't work. I get to say bye again. Bye.